Yay!
And we're live.
All right.
We got Brett and Kevin in San Diego. It even says it on the screen there.
Yeah, I didn't send it from last year because this is the first time I've used it on my tablet since last year, so it was already
Oh.
set up that way. I was like, okay, that works.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's 7 a.m. here out in the West Coast.
Yeah, 10 a.m. here on the East Coast.
We got some hazy skies, we got some blue, a little haze, and it's probably a beautiful 78 degrees.
With a wind chill of 78
degrees.
Yeah, here it's been like crazy pouring rain on and off. A lot of pouring rain.
Yeah.
It'll downpour like it feels like the downpours in Florida, and then 20 minutes later they're gone. Then an hour later they're back, and then they're gone. So
well, that's how it was on Monday for me working. Was it felt like Florida rain is really what it was. It was it was like a tropical, which is what we get up in Michigan, which surprises people, but they forget that we're surrounded by lakes. We have all that water. So in the summertime when it's getting hot and humid, it's like Florida. It's that humidity and tropical feel.
Well, and then we also have
tropical.
Well, and we also have the cloud seeding program that here's the contract from NOAA. So they're probably screwing up just like they flooded out Abu Dhabi or whatever place that was overseas. So who knows? Some guy put the decimal in the wrong spot and said, "Oops, too much."
Yeah.
So guys, you got to. For those who don't know, San Diego Comic-Con is coming up this week. It actually starts today, preview night.
Yep.
You guys got to experience planes, trains, and automobiles in real life across the country through this crazy airline.
Well, it all started after we saw Scott on Monday night.
It was all downhill from there.
Yeah. So after Scott left, we'd all gone to dinner and got a chance to visit and hang out. I get awakened at 11:30 by my phone going off, and it says our flight is canceled. And it says try to rebook. I'm trying to rebook. It will only let me rebook the same flight.
And it said specifically your flight's canceled, and we cannot find anything that will replace it until Thursday.
Yeah,
which is obviously too late with San Diego
right.
tonight.
So because it's Monday at that point, so after late Monday night, and it's saying no flights till Thursday.
Well, technically, I didn't wake Kevin up until Tuesday, which was like after 12 o'clock midnight. As I'm looking through this shit, going, "Where can I figure this out?" So I wake him up, and which is funny. So I was like, "Kevin, just up. What? Whoa, where? What?" I was like, "Our flight's
in Kung Fu mode."
Okay, and by the way, this episode of Odd Musings will be TVMA. So I wake Kevin.
Well, whenever a story involves Kevin, there's a mandatory 10 F-bombs.
So the minute I said, "Kevin, our flight's been canceled," he goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding me."
There's one.
So he gets up. So we
get a tally.
I said, I got Delta app up I got Delta on the computer up. I've been trying to do shit on the phone. Let's just figure this out. So we're looking, and we're just running through, and we're exhausted. We don't got any 2 hours sleep at this point, and we hadn't really drank the night before. You had a beer. I didn't have any drinks.
Side note too, even if all things were fine with flights, booking a flight to San Diego this week is very possible with everything going well.
Yeah. But here's the thing about it that was throwing us off the whole time is we both still had our boarding passes, and usually when a flight's canceled, your boarding pass goes away. So we still had our boarding pass. It said canceled, so we're like, okay, we're just going to go to the airport. We'll get there about 6, and we knew we'd have to wait. So it actually wasn't bad. We waited about a half an hour, and we get up to the attendant, and I'm like, this is what it says. It says I have a boarding pass that says canceled. What's going on? And he looks back and goes, I don't see it canceled. I can print you a boarding pass, and he did. And I questioned him like 3 times. I said, "You're sure?" I said, "We're going to go get our luggage, check in. We have a flight." "Oh, yeah, you guys will be just fine." No. So we skycapped our bags, and then we went through security, and we get downstairs. Well, we go to the gate first, and then the woman looks at us, she goes, "No, your flight's canceled." She goes, "Well, go over there and talk to those guys at that gate." Because we had 2 different gate numbers. We get over to the other gate. They're going somewhere else. The guy goes, "No, that's not us. You're going to have to go stand over at gate 18 and talk to them about rebooking." So we get over there, and people that started filing behind us, same thing. A lot of them were going on the same flight.
Yeah, 'cause now they already have our bags.
Yeah, and they have our bags. Our alternate plan when we come up overnight, which would have worked, it'd been a pain in the ass, but it worked, is we were gonna drive to Grand Rapids, fly on Southwest from Grand Rapids to Midway to St. Louis to San Diego. That was the original plan. Well, with the bags already checked, we hadn't canceled the Southwest yet because we were waiting until we got situated. And we're like, can we get our bags? And they're like, so we're talking with the gal there, and she's like, I can call. She can't get a hold of anybody at where baggage is. She tried in front of us.
She can't even get a hold of anyone.
Yeah.
She goes, you should be able to get your bags. I'm like, you can't even reach them on the damn phone.
So I'm like, well, what options do we have? So she starts throwing stuff, and of course we're still scrambling. And I started thinking from when she said Phoenix, it's like, wait a minute, you can get us to Phoenix on a direct flight. She goes, yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
5-hour drive from there.
We already had spent our money on Southwest, over $400. Well, $400 for him, 30,000 points for me.
Yeah.
So I look up. I said, "There's a flight. It's an hour flight from Phoenix to San Diego, Southwest. There's like 8 of them, and they were all open and all flying
every hour on the hour."
Yeah.
Almost.
So I said, you can get me to Phoenix. Yes. Can you get our bags on the flight to Phoenix? Yes. She goes, I'll have them rerouted. She did everything, got us all situated. We go. That flight's a little delayed, but not much, like a half an hour, I think. So we grab a bite to eat because we were sitting there going. I looked at Kevin. I was like, I gotta eat. We've been doing this all overnight, and
plus worst case scenario, if the Phoenix trip didn't work from Phoenix to San Diego, you could drive it. It's a 5-hour
right
drive.
now. It's something we didn't think of until
drive it.
Now we have options.
Yeah,
you got options.
From there we have options.
So,
the 2 were Phoenix or LAX,
and we chose Phoenix. I think it was the easier choice
because LAX would be a nightmare. Plus that's in California.
Yeah,
we know what's going on this weekend, so we figured LAX would be just as bad and disorganized as Detroit.
Yeah,
I think Phoenix was the wise choice.
Yeah, so we get to Phoenix, and it's a good flight. I got free booze because they didn't have what I wanted. Kevin did not get free booze because he had a guy serving him, while I had a really nice, attractive stewardess, and she took pity on me because they didn't have the old fashioned, so she gave me 2 Woodfords. So I was relaxed.
Well, that's good.
So we get to Phoenix, and we go down to baggage. We have to go get our bags and then go check in at Southwest Terminal, different terminal.
Yeah,
this is where I'm concerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are the bags there?
Right, no. Hardly any bags got off for our flight.
Yeah.
It's
like, when it dings and the luggage starts coming out. Now delivering Detroit, it dings, 2 bags come out, and it's like, done.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what the fuck?
Now, of course, we didn't take any pictures, and I did that. I thought about it, but they had so many places I didn't want to take pictures, and people freak out because we're taking pictures. Literally 1,000 bags in the airport there that had been left or got there, and the people aren't there, that they were still working on. So we go.
I saw that the news was covering that too, showing massive amounts of backed up luggage.
Phoenix was massive,
and Phoenix was handling great. One thing I would say this before we get the rest of the story here at Phoenix was the people that were handling everything in baggage down there on the floor. They had police there. They had Delta workers. They had set up zones, and they were tracking all the bags. They were scanning them on a regular basis in case somebody showed up and got a bag.
Yep.
And saying, okay, this bag's gone, take it off the list or whatever. And they were working on what they can also take bags and put them on other flights to their other regional destination.
It was as organized as you possibly could get it.
Yeah. So that was Delta. You flew there Delta.
Yes, Delta.
Here to there. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what we dealt with that. So we go to the office, and this is the person's name I will give because the other ones I didn't give over in Detroit. And the one that got us on Phoenix, she was nice, but it was still, she was funny. She goes, she got set. She said, okay, great. So we're all set. She goes, yes, and I hope I never see you again. I was like, okay. I mean, we were nice about it. We didn't give them any crap, of course. So we go in the office, and there's one guy outside, and she goes, well, you have to go in there. So go in there, we get Stacy. Stacy is a rock star. We give her our things. We tell her the whole situation. It's like they weren't on the flight here. We got, that flight got canceled to San Diego. We checked into that. I said they were supposed to move our bags to the Phoenix plane. They didn't make it. So she had to work with one of the other guys because he knew better on the computer side. So he took care of putting in the ticket, fixing something to get them rerouted to San Diego.
Because they had to cancel the original.
Yeah.
Because they never put the bags on the plane.
Yeah.
So
So
they were still back in Detroit.
They're still in Detroit.
Yeah.
So they had to go in and say, well, because they knew they were working on sending the bags back to Phoenix, and we're like, we're not going to be here, and we're going to San Diego,
and we're not coming back to Phoenix.
We're not coming back to Phoenix.
Right.
The bags were getting ready to come to Phoenix.
So Stacy understood that. So they got it switched. So they're going to send them to San Diego, and then she wouldn't let us go. She said, "Wait here, don't move." She got on the phone. She called Detroit. She called the baggage, got a hold of somebody, and explained the situation. Hey, these guys are traveling for work. They were traveling separate, but they're together. Even though it's separate ticketing, and they need to get their stuff to San Diego. And how can we do? There was other flights to San Diego, but they were all booked, so they couldn't have got us on any one of them. But there was an afternoon flight going out, and ended up leaving, I think, 6 o'clock Detroit time, and got here at 8 o'clock last night. And we got notification just before it took off that our bags were on the plane.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when we ordered groceries delivered, we ordered pizza, so we didn't have to go anywhere since we were taking extra Uber rides, and we Ubered over to the airport. When the flight landed, we waited, and our bags came off. So we have our bags. So the show will go on. But it was a 24-hour marathon from the time I woke up at 11:30 Detroit time till 8:30 last night San Diego time that we got our bags.
Well, thank God you guys booked the day early too, though. How many people fly in day of San Diego to set up? That's going to be a nightmare for these people.
Yeah, and we talked about that, yeah.
I was telling Brett, as much as I've been traveling with work too, and across the country, and I have so many coworkers, they try to schedule, well, I can fly out at 6 in the morning, get there at 9 in the morning, have a meeting at noon, be done by 2, and catch a flight at 5 o'clock at night. And I'm like, you are lost your goddamn mind. I'm like, there's any more, because there's so many factors anymore. There's this, obviously, which, I'm sorry, up until like the last couple of years, how many times did something like this happen?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember any of them. And it's happened, Southwest was a few months ago. It happened, killed everything.
Yeah. They had their own thing now. And it's funny is because all this happened in Delta and American, and I think United were affected mainly. And then Southwest, like, oh, we're still here. It's like, yeah, 6 months ago, y'all weren't.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
don't be playing all high and mighty this time. Yeah. But 6 months ago, you guys screwed up. And it was on their end, not another software company's end.
So and so I'm at the point. If I'm going anywhere, I'm going the day before, schedule whatever I need to the next day, and then I fly out the day after that. I don't care what it is, because there's too many fluctuations. Something like this happens, but I haven't had a flight even with Delta that I've booked in the last year that hasn't been updated at least once. Now the update might be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour. But even this flight that we were going out to, coming out here, we were originally not supposed to leave till 12:30. A month and a half ago, they say, hey, we've adjusted your flight. Instead of you leaving at 12:30, you're leaving at 8 in the morning. That's not a little adjustment.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that screws everything.
They moved us up by 4 hours, and then they put another flight at the same time we were supposed to leave originally. And this actually was more than, it was just before Motor City, because I talked to Billy Tucci about dropping our bags there, because we were going to get at 10 in the morning San Diego time. And he said, hey, just drop them and then get them when you need them.
Because we can't get into the Airbnb until 3.
And we couldn't set up till 5.
Right.
And so that all got switched around. And then, of course, when everything happened, our flight was when it gets canceled. Like going, wait a minute, this was the original flight. Cancel somebody else. But what happened was, and I figured out looking at planes coming in, the plane we originally supposed to have had coming in, they rerouted to Cancun. So it was coming into Detroit to go to Cancun.
Yeah.
So, but with the flight to Phoenix, as we're talking, we were sitting in Phoenix talking about it, because of course we're so punch drunk the whole day. He was like, we can rent a car. It was like $90 to rent a car for a day. We'd return it today by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, even dropping it off in another airport. I've never seen it. I didn't think it crossed my mind like for a millisecond when we were in Detroit, but every time I've looked at renting a car, and remind you, we're out in California. Well, that's where we drop the car off. Where everything, they gouge you for everything, right? So I'm like, every time I've looked at renting a car, when you try to drop it off at another location, that price just goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Right.
This wasn't the case here.
Yeah, fortunately, because they actually had cars. We could have got an SUV, which would have been nice.
For $100.
Our biggest problem was we didn't have our luggage.
Right.
Now, if we had before we had checked our luggage in originally Detroit, the guy had said, "Hey, I can get you to Phoenix." We could have started brainstorming from there.
And we probably would have drove.
And we might have thought of the car route. Okay, yeah, get me to Phoenix. We'll rent a car and we'll drive the rest of the way in because our bags are over 50 pounds each.
And we had to fly Southwest.
So we were trying to figure out. We were talking about, okay, if we get our bags when we get to Phoenix, we have to go through them, and we have to get them down to 50 pounds each. And we were looking at what we could do, and we could have made it happen because I had a collapsible duffel bag. But at the same time, but if we checked a third bag, it still was going to be an extra $75. The car was $100 to rent. Even with gas, it'd been $200, but we wouldn't have to pay extra baggage fees and time and stuff like that with them dealing with that. And we could have been on the road a lot sooner. So
between the two of us, we're out right now. We're out a total of $800.
Yeah.
To get here, extra.
Right.
On top of our original ticket price. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah. So now we, as we thought about it, it's like lack of sleep is what impaired us a little bit.
Yeah.
Because originally, though, when we were talking in Detroit, I looked and said, "Wait a minute, Phoenix." He's like, "No, we can't do Phoenix. Phoenix ain't gonna work." And we're like, "Yeah, no, listen," because we were trying to figure out how to get our bags, and we were caught up in that for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Wait a minute, just get me out there, and we'll figure it out from there."
Yeah, we weighed our bags the night before, and they weren't bad. But
no,
here's the thing: we're allowed because we're allowed 70 pounds per bag. Most people are allowed 50 for Delta because we fly so much. It's one of the perks. So we both had about 60 pounds in all of our bags. So now we have to switch to Southwest, which, believe me, we didn't think about this, so we already said everything. And then I go to the bathroom, I come back, and I'm like, "Oh, we're fucked." And he's like, "You just came from the bathroom. What happened?" And I'm like, "Our bag's way too much." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "We got 40 extra pounds that we have to figure out what to do with."
That's a whole nother piece of luggage.
Exactly.
Part of it, though, was I knew my carry-on, I could get another 15 pounds in. And I said, "Okay, we can figure this out." And there was a few things I thought about. I was like, "Okay, there's probably a couple of things to consolidate down. I could get rid of a little bit of weight, and just pray nothing gets damaged." But
get on the plane with all your clothes on.
Yeah,
you look like the kid from Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
I've done it before too because the carry-on.
Joey from Friends. I'm wearing all your clothes, Chandler.
Because the carry-on doesn't get weighed, and as long as you don't look suspicious, like you can't carry it. It just has to fit in that bin. I've done it before where I put the heaviest stuff, and it's like a 50 to 60 pound bag. Yeah. I just made sure to try to look like it doesn't weigh much as I walk through.
Well, the thing was if I needed to, I could have checked it at the gate, and then they wouldn't have weighed it. They would have just put the thing on it, and I would have wheeled it down. But the flight wasn't full going to San Diego from Phoenix.
Oh, not at all.
So it was like, I would say 80% because there was a lot of middle or seats empty. We had no one next to us, which was nice, and we had an exit row, so we had huge leg room for the hour flight. Yeah. We get in the air, it's like we've begun our descent into San Diego. Like what?
Yeah, that's how it is. You up and then it's time to go down.
Yeah. Once we're on the plane, both flights were great.
Yeah.
The attendants and the people at Delta, all the people working,
good,
did a great job. I will even give a little bit of a pass to the guy at the beginning because he's looking off of what the computers are telling him.
Yeah.
And he did say one thing. He's like, "I don't trust these computers anyways." And I said, "Neither have I. I've seen that movie. It's called Terminator. It's all going to end that."
If this was to happen again, especially with San Diego, I now know that when we go to the airport, get rebooked, we wouldn't check our bags in. And then just say, "Okay, where can you get me?"
As soon as you said you gave it to SkyCap, I'm like, it's not going to get to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I will tell you this. We only have our bags for one reason and one reason only. It was Stacy in Phoenix.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. She took care of us. She was really nice. Heck, they're giving us like, "Oh, we got snacks and water over here. Y'all got booze?" "No, we've gone through that already." And
yeah, we've gone through the booze supply. I'm like, "Damn it!"
And they were offering some water and snacks, things like that. And I think most people were being respectful
and very cordial.
Only saw a couple people. I saw one in Detroit. They moved the line and she started walking over and the guy's like, "Wait, where are you going?" She goes, "I was next. Knock it off." And she walks up. And they had a supervisor come over, and they helped her, but she definitely was not happy. But there was people in Detroit that had been there for 3 days.
Yeah.
Well,
so you might have situations where, like especially like something like San Diego. What if your travel arrangements are such that certain things aren't refundable, and you're not going to make it till Friday? And it's like, all my expenses, I got to make my money back from the show to pay for this stuff. Like you guys it costs you extra $800. Now, why did it cost you extra $800 though? Delta didn't absorb that. I mean, they were the cause of your.
They didn't. No, but they could get us to Phoenix. Then we were on our own.
Phoenix or LAX. That's all.
And then they said that was it, and then you're on your own to figure out your rest of your travel. And there was nothing Delta going to San Diego from Phoenix. Everything was booked. Okay. So we looked at Southwest. We're like, well, it gets us to 2 bags. We would have figured out the weight thing. My thought was if I need to, there was a few things I could have ditched, but wow. That wouldn't have been no big deal. But we worked it out on that. But yeah, that was the whole thing was really the logistics of everything. I mean, even overnight, we were thinking about it. It's like, okay, if we got to go to Grand Rapids, our thought was if we can't get in a flight there at Detroit, we're going to drive to Grand Rapids. We were going back to the house real quick because we had a couple hours before we needed to get to
reorganize the bags.
Reorganize the bags, and then we were going to drive. Mom was going to drive us to Grand Rapids, drop us off, and then drive back, which I really didn't like to do. I mean, she could do it, but I didn't want her to have to drive the 4 hours round trip.
Right, that's a lot of driving.
Actually probably 5 because it would have been a little bit longer with rush hour and stuff like that. But and then we did have a third option too as we're in the airport thinking of stuff. We're like,
because as we're waiting in line to figure out if we can rebook the flight, I'm looking at we have the Grand Rapids flight booked, but we're running out of time because that flight leaves at 2:00.
And nice thing is, Southwest we could cancel and get a full refund.
Yeah,
the same day.
We bought the more expensive ticket that let you do that.
Yeah,
but we're watching as we're in the line, and I'm seeing all the flights. They're just disappearing. They're going away.
Yeah,
because they're getting booked.
Because everybody's thinking the same thing. So we did.
By the time we got to the end, there was no more flights from Grand Rapids. So the only other option was Midway. So we would have to drive to Chicago.
Well, here's the problem with that though: was we were going to drive to Kevin's house, have Brandy take us to Midway. We were going to have to get a hotel.
Yeah.
And then fly out. Again, this is only of the assumption that we would have our bags.
Right. Once we knew we weren't going to get the bags.
We're really changed. We were talking about that too when we got to counter. But then when the Phoenix, I looked at her and said, can you get my bag on Phoenix? I think she tried. I think that Detroit was just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think our bag with they had all the San Diego bags off to the side. Like, well, this flight got canceled. What happened here?
Well, plus there had to be difficulty where one system saying the flight's canceled, another system saying it's not. So they must have had communication issues between different systems too.
Yeah, it was,
and that's what it was.
And then the biggest problem they said was with the whole they keep calling it the Microsoft outage. It wasn't Microsoft. It was that CrowdStrike. Yeah, they're the ones that caused the issue. Those systems.
Yeah.
And so that was the problem. It wasn't Microsoft. And the thing is that people didn't realize that's why I saw people post like it affected my whole computer. No, it didn't. You got something else that something was going on because CyberStrike's a software like a virus type protection software.
Yeah. So this came out just 55 minutes ago. This article, CrowdStrike global IT outage was due to an undetected error in update. But it's just amazing a system update.
Yeah.
Well, it's this kind of crazy. It says due to a bug in the content validator, one of the 2 template instances passed validation despite containing problematic content data. So that bug
is
caused
they
Windows
didn't properly
to crash.
test it.
Right.
They didn't test their update. They pushed it through.
And then their update caused Windows to crash.
Yeah.
So that caused this chain reaction.
Yeah.
Look how many people use Windows.
Everything is. I mean, if you, most of the terminals they have, even if it doesn't look like Windows, it's Windows based. Even if it's running what looks like a Linux type. Grocery stores. I noticed this years ago doing shit, but Meijer, all their terminals are Windows based, and they look like Windows 98.
Right.
And they probably are like a Windows NT type stuff. Even if when Microsoft says they don't support that stuff, it's most on the home market. They keep older operating systems, and other companies will take them over because they use that software for like all the terminals and stuff like that at grocery stores, registers, and other companies are updating from that point forward using the architecture from Windows. They don't want to go to the newer Windows because everything's been written so much for the other ones. They want to run those until they actually have to redo them because of the cost. But yeah, so I mean that was the problem was the CyberStrike, and CyberStrike affects Delta's scheduling, and that's what the problem was is they were having trouble scheduling people, trying to get them to come into work. They put out a word telling for any flight attendant say, hey, you want overtime, just come in. I mean, they couldn't even officially schedule them through the system.
We'll put you somewhere. That's what one of the flight they told us. They just sent out an email like, "Come in, we'll send you somewhere." That's really what they got because they had no idea
And
where.
then same thing with
how.
pilots. In fact, we had a pilot on the Phoenix flight who was he heard him say to somebody. He goes, "Yeah, I got to go to Phoenix, and then from there, I'm heading out."
Because the one from Detroit, when we were getting on the plane, she was talking to the pilot or someone else.
Yeah.
And I heard at the tail end of her conversation was she goes, "So I just packed for a whole week because I don't know where I'm going to be."
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what she was telling. Because she's like, "I got nowhere else to be. I'll take the money."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, more power. Can you imagine?"
Yeah. Some of these flight attendants are going to make $100 an hour more.
Oh yeah.
I got a friend of mine whose daughter does that. She does international flights, and she had a chance to work over the holidays. Said her husband was a little ticked, but same time she says, "Where can I go and make over 4 days like $3,000 to $5,000?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna work their butt off, but
yeah,
Yeah.
But well, even then they still actually have federal regulations. They
Oh,
have
that's
a certain
true.
point they get a cap, but even then they put them to sleep. They sleep their 8 hours, just like a trucker. They sleep their 8 hours, get up, they do it all again, but they're paying them such a high premium. It's just like we're just going to pay you $100 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, you work your 10 hours, there's $1,000. You take 8 hours
Right.
sleep, do another 10 hours, $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, you do that over 4 days.
Yeah. 'Cause in 4 days you get 5 days working because you're not
And,
working.
and you got
24
paid
hours.
for almost a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole thing, we had some really good people. Everybody was nice, but it was definitely a big cluster mess.
Yeah.
So
So as of right now, you guys have all your stuff. Everything's
Yep.
in. It's all with you right now, so you haven't officially set up yet.
Yep.
So you'll just have to get there a little early.
After we get done with the podcast, we're going to get cleaned up, go grab some hash house to go. Come
Perfect
back.
way to start the day.
yes.
And then we'll go over there. 'Cause it doesn't start till like 5 tonight, so
Yeah, we got
plenty of time to set up. We just got to be set up today, so we'll get over there probably between 12 and 1.
Yep.
That's a good time.
We still got to get some badge situations. We didn't get all our badges. I got mine, my pro, and Kevin got my exhibitor badge, but he hasn't got his exhibitor badge. And
They couldn't
That's
send
always fun.
They couldn't send me my badge.
Yeah, he's the one
Or
that
my
set up
pro
everything,
badge.
but I get to.
But they send me to my house Brett's exhibitor badge.
Yeah,
and I asked why. I said, "Well, we couldn't verify your address." But I'm like,
It's like, how did you verify Brett's address here? He
but
doesn't live
my
here.
address
Send me
is
this.
He went to his house.
"Well, it was okay for Brett at your house, not you." And I'm like, "But I fucking live here."
Yeah. I only stay a few times a year.
Yeah.
And the little twin bed up in the other room.
Wow.
But yeah, so we're gonna deal with all that when we get there.
Yeah. So tonight's preview night. So that's always a fun opening day.
Yeah.
But and then as the week goes on, you guys have a booth. What booth number are you guys in small press?
M04.
M04. So
Yeah.
Brett and Kevin will both be at the same booth. So that'll be the Bardstone booth there. You can get all their stuff and the books.
Yep.
And what's nice there, though, is you guys will be able to alternate and actually enjoy the show since you're both sharing the booth. Anything on your to-do list for each of you?
I got every year you get there's an exclusives portal. Everyone gets an opportunity to get enter lotteries for very big signings things. Like one of them was the Deadpool Wolverine panel, and so every year we've gotten this and we've tried, but we've never won anything, right? This year I actually got in and I got a signing for that TV show Tracker.
Okay.
Which I'm like, it's a pretty decent show. I
liked it. I watched it. It was a good show.
So I'm like, hey, it's you go and you meet the cast and you get a signed poster. I'm like, I'm in. So I get to do that.
Yeah,
that was fun.
it's literally going to be, here's your poster, here's the first person, signed.
Right. Yeah, you don't have time to really chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got 10 seconds. So I did that with the
I wonder if they'll let you have video going on your phone so you can at least record while you go down.
You can. I've seen. Yeah.
I did that with the Rookie in 2019, and when I went through, I was able to have video and snap pictures along the way because they're moving the poster. I'm just going, hey, I see it. Oh, I like you. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I got a bunch. They popped up last week in memories from that because it was 2019 would have been last week 5 years ago. But it's a cool experience. I mean, it's quick. You're in through the line within a minute. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, hey, I bet the cast. I got a cool cast signed poster. It's an exclusive poster. I mean, I've seen them pop up online and people sell them and they get the money for them.
Yeah. You mentioned the Rookie. I'll share a quick Nathan Fillion story I have from San Diego Comic-Con. It's a brief one, but this was probably around 2012. But I was walking, before the show opens. For people who don't know, it's once the show starts, you're kind of trapped at your table. So for us as exhibitors, a lot of times your time to see the shows before it opens, and we're wandering around. So I'm walking the floor, looking at the displays, and then I'm walking at one point, and I see the doors had just opened, and I see this flood of people running right at me. And I'm like, holy crap. So I look to the guy next to me. I go, I wonder what they're running for. And he looks at me, and I realize it's Nathan Fillion walking right next to me. He goes, I think it's me. I'm like, I look back. I go, well, good luck. He goes, oh, thanks. That's my little Nathan Fillion story.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hall H and all the studios are back in full forces.
Yeah, this is really the first year of that.
Yeah, first year, because they were going to last year, but then the writers' strike.
Right. Yeah, well, so in 22 they had stuff going on. It was very limited because they didn't have much to offer.
Right. Yeah.
So last year, since they had Hall H stuff, but it was funny because people would come walking around going, "Oh, this is an awesome show. Usually I spend all day in Hall H." I'm like, "Really? Yeah. You spend that kind of money to sit and?" I mean, the panels are cool. Don't get me wrong, but just to see the exclusive, like you can see all that online. You need to check out the show.
Well, and remember too, it wasn't just to sit all day in Hall H. It was also to sit all night the night before.
Exactly. Yeah.
You would spend the night outside. And they would have like pizza parties in line. Sometimes celebrities would show up and pass out pizza. There were cool experiences people would have, but for me, it's like to go all that way just to spend the whole weekend in lines and in a conference room seat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that'd be awful.
But yeah,
people love it.
Yeah, last year a lot of people had record years because of the fact that people were out actually spending money on the floor more.
Yeah.
And it was a good year last year. We're hoping this year we get some. I hope some people learn about it. I mean, I've seen a ton of people online like, how do you do Hall H? Where do you get in? So I know people do. And with the Deadpool one, you can't stand in line ahead of time. You had to have a special ticket for that.
Well, I think they changed the policy overall to get rid of the overnight lines.
Yeah, they don't allow it anymore.
Yeah, what they do is you show up at the night before, and they give you a wristband.
Wristband with like numbers on it or something.
Yeah, and then you come back. So basically, and then it's a line holding thing. So, and you only need one person of your group to be there to get the wristband, I guess, and they can have up to 6 people. So that everybody does. There's people that they pay someone actually to do that for them at times. Which
it makes sense, but at the same time, the Hall H line is part of the iconic memories of the past for people who do that.
Yes.
And so it's,
but
on one hand, I understand getting rid of it, and it's probably better to get rid of it, but it gets rid of something of the culture at the same time.
Well, the thing is that even with the wristbands, they all still hang out at Hall H overnight. I mean, there's still people there all night long.
Okay.
So what it is now is they have people one person can stay there, and people swap out at different times. But like with the Deadpool thing, though, it was free, but you had to hit the thing online and get a ticket online. Yeah. So it was a lottery, and because they're doing that's with the panel with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and whoever else shows up.
Everybody will be there.
I'm sure everybody will be because it's going to be huge. They're already saying it's going to be huge.
This is really the first huge panel.
Yeah.
Where everyone's looking forward to.
And they're not saying it's like it takes place at the end of the night, so they're going to clear the hall, and then you have to have your ticket to get in.
Yeah.
And then for that, it's going to and then they're going to do what they're going to do. But the rumors are that everybody's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? It's like they're going to have a big panel. I wouldn't be sorry to go, hey, guess what? Because I think it's Thursday night they're doing it.
Friday.
Yeah.
The Friday?
I
think it's going to be, hey, welcome to the panel. We're going to do this whole Q&A thing. But first, here's the movie.
Here's the movie. Yep. I think there'll be a surprise like that.
Yeah.
And they've done that with other huge movies. Like Star Wars notoriously screwed over Kevin Smith's panel.
Well, that was...
they took the whole hall out. Yeah, J.J. Abrams took the whole hall out.
But he did that on purpose, too.
Right.
And what it was is Kevin had gone on set and then tweeted some stuff out.
Spoilers.
So he was after JJ's panel, and he goes, hey, everybody gets to go with us, and we're going to go see Star Wars Symphony in concert for free and get ice cream or some shit like that.
And ice cream.
And everybody ice cream too. Got up and left. So and Kevin comes out with, he's like, what the There's like one guy going, woo, Kevin, I don't like Star Wars, I like Kevin.
One guy. To announce his movie. Yeah. He thought he had the best spot of the night to get the whole Star Wars crowd, and they were gone.
Yeah.
And it's how everyone must have felt after the snap in the Marvel universe.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's some big panels. There's the boys have a big one.
Yeah.
Announcing and saying they're going to give a preview of what's to come in the next season and the future of the boys.
Yeah.
Transformers has a big one, and I don't think it's necessarily a Transformers movie.
No, I think it's something else.
I have a little bit of inside information, so I think it's more of a Transformers overall. I think it's going to be a big panel about what's to come in merchandise, everything.
Yeah, you got the anime movie coming out, which actually looks fun to me. It's kind of like an origin story of Optimus and Megatron. I think they're changing their origins for it. The Daniel Warren Johnson run in the comics seems to be doing really well too.
Yeah,
what they're doing. So yeah, they could definitely hit all the different things that they're doing.
Well, there's a lot going on with all these different franchises. Dynamite this morning announced a new Terminator comic series coming in October, and they announced yesterday they're releasing the old Terminator comics as collections through BackerKit and Kickstarter. Kind of like they did that with Darkwing Duck and something else, which means they're going to be god awful expensive. Because I looked them up, and it's like, oh, I want to get all of them. It's going to be like $300,
right?
To start, and then with the new series, they got artwork online. It looks good,
and they've got a lot of new.
And it's the 40th anniversary, so the first issue comes out in October, which coincides with the 40th anniversary release of the first Terminator movie.
There's a lot of new product coming out.
Yeah, and then of course we already know the new Aliens movie that's coming out. There's a lot going on with that, and that one right there we are.
And the TV show.
Yeah, so now we're at 45 years since the original Alien movie. So there's a lot with all that going on. So I mean, we have a lot of these milestones of these classic stuff that they're re-releasing under different ways.
There's that Terminator one. They're up to 235,000 raised.
Yeah,
with 1,500 backers.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, that's just that's just the trades.
Yeah, this is that re-release you were talking about.
Yeah, and then the new comic they talked about today. The covers, it reminds me of the old Dark Horse stuff.
Well, they got the rights to a lot of the old Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what that is right there. Yeah. Most for this, they bought that up.
That and the Dark Horse, and I want to say they got the old Now. Remember Now?
Oh yeah.
From Chicago back in the day, they had a Terminator series. That's where Alex Ross started.
Okay. Yeah.
When he was, and I think they got that too. Because I know I'm 90% sure one of the images I saw, I'm like, that's an Alex Ross from back in 1988. When I remember those comics were friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing stuff.
Was it Alex Ross doing interiors? Because I remember he used to do interiors early in his career.
I think there was one miniseries he did for Now that he did everything. And I remember the painted cover, and it's just the Terminator on the front, and he's like half human, and he's kind of tore apart. And I remember back in the 80s, that you didn't get the painted covers. They didn't. I mean, you know how everything looked in the 80s. It was always that very starch color, because of the way they colored comics back then. They didn't use Photoshop or anything else. So if you got a painted cover, that was a big deal. I just remember seeing that thing and being like, "Holy shit!"
Those were awesome. And those were tough to get, even when they came out. They were such limited quantities. After they came out in the aftermarket, it was like you're going to pay through those.
I think the interiors were like that, where you open it up, and it's not your standard comic. It's like interiors that are painted, and you're like,
"Yeah, these are painted by Alex Ross."
You didn't see anything like that back in the day. That was a big deal.
This is how my friend Chris Galf, he did the Battlestar Galactica series back in the day. The 100% painted. Every page was a hand painted page.
Yeah.
So it was rare. It was amazing talent because it's not like now where you can lay things out. This was truly old school painting, and it's beautiful work.
And you're talking back then for everything being by hand, having to be scanned in, having to be done to do a painted comic, a 22-page comic. You're talking, if you are busting ass, you're talking 3 months.
Yeah, but some of these guys can crank it out though. You look at like your friend Chris Sculp. I've seen his work online, and now he does a lot more digital now.
Right.
And but everything he does digitally, he can crank out that stuff in like no time.
Oh yeah.
Especially digitally now, but some of these guys, like Alex Ross back in the day, stuff like that. If you look at the painting, it's gorgeous, but it's they plan it out ahead of time, and after they get it right to them, it's a base color. They get the highlights going. They're not going ultra realistic detail.
Right.
Now, of course, they switch over to digital. They can do that more
Right.
because it's easier to do.
I think back in the day, the time frame wasn't even necessarily the artist. You get the artist. I mean, if you gotta think, if he can paint out a painted page a day, which is insane, you're lucky to get a comic done in a month. But then he's got to physically ship all those to someone. They got to then scan it in. They got to do all those other things that a comic company normally does. What normally is a 1 month process back then, I think it turns into 3 months.
Oh, easily, yeah. Back
just
then,
to get everything done.
Even if he is fast enough to crank out a book like that in a week, let's just say a week, you still had to send it off. You had to get lettering done. Then they had to scan it in. Then they had to lay it out formatting. So I mean, it was definitely time consuming. All the stuff we do now when we do our comics is we're like, oh yeah, click, 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 click. Hey, we're done. We're just waiting on a boat from China.
Right.
Right. But yeah, it's the old stuff. I mean, I like that when they're doing these recreations.
Yeah.
And another thing that's coming out, EC Comics is relaunching under Oni. So they're launching the brand new series, the first new EC Comics series in 30 years.
Both of us, we won't be probably together, but different times. We're going to try to hit that booth this weekend, and they're going to have stuff there.
Yeah.
The stuff I see online looks great.
Yeah. So that's good. Like that's the classic horror.
Yeah.
That's cool to see that coming back, and they're having a big a lot of signings with current and past creators. If you're saying past creators, you're going back to, I mean, you're talking like some of the classics, but a lot of those classic artists are gone.
Yeah.
But have created some of the most iconic horror images as far as there's like 20 or 30 images that always pop up.
Yeah. That
you always see. And that all came from EC Comics. I mean, that most classic stuff, Tales from the Crypt, there's like 4 different ones. Mm-hmm. I mean, he always had all the different, just that amazing iconic setup for the way the comic was. It's just amazing. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully that.
Yeah, there was Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror, Two-Fisted Tales, and The Haunt of Fear.
Yep.
Here's the release about Oni Press at San Diego Comic-Con. They got pictures of their different exclusives.
Yeah.
So I got some
Scott
Pilgrim stuff and
and the thing is that they had Brian Lee O'Malley as a portal thing, but then I think there's another not portal that you can try to meet him. He did Scott Pilgrim, but he's also, I think he's overseeing a lot of this EC comic stuff now. So
he got a little bit of a kick in the butt with the new Scott Pilgrim series. They released it on the Netflix.
Oh yeah, the animated one.
And all the original actors from the movie came back and voiced it.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of traction. His sales went, like he did that big hike and went back down. Now it went back up. So there might be something new coming out, Scott Pilgrim.
Well, there's a panel Saturday from 11 to noon with Brian Lee O'Malley.
Yeah.
Talking about Scott Pilgrim. So maybe news will be released then.
Yeah, and if you haven't read the series, I read the series. I have it at home.
It's super fun.
It was the series. The movie was fun. I liked the movie.
The movie's great.
It captured the full spirit of the series. The series is like 7 books.
Yeah.
It's or at least 7 at least.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of books, and each one is the new evil X or whatever. And but it was a fun story. It was a great read. It ties in the comics with video games and things like that. In a lot of ways, it was. I think if that hadn't come out, the guy wouldn't have wrote Ready Player One. They kind of not the same, but they have that similarity of dealing with the video games and pop culture references and things like that you like.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, the Scott Pilgrim they could do more with that.
Yeah.
If he wants to go that route, so it'll be interesting to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. Todd McFarlane has a lot of things going on. He announced ahead of time, which I'm shocked he did, the title for the new movie. So I think you're going to get actual update on the King Spawn movie.
Yes.
I feel like we've been hearing about the upcoming Spawn movie for 20 years.
Yeah. But
we have.
Yeah. And I think this is the one where you're actually going to see it's actually in process.
Yeah. After the Spawn movie that had John Leguizamo, he's talking about wanting to do another one.
In 97, 98?
Yes. I mean, we're talking like 25, 30, almost 30 years. And he's wanting to do more. well, they had this series for a little bit, the Spawn series.
The anime series was great, and it
Yeah.
just kind of died off real quick. But that was about the time that Todd McFarlane got sued by everybody and lost all his money. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that goes. And his signings too is like you have to get there early to get a wristband.
But he's also doing like a boatload of signings. He is a good one for the fans.
Yeah,
He's doing like 4 or 5 signings up in the sales room, upstairs in that big area where the autograph is, so he can accommodate more people.
yeah.
He's doing like every day. He's doing a 2-hour signing up there.
Wow.
And he's doing a couple signings at the Image booth with more creators.
Yeah, and there's a few
limited.
interesting signings around too. There's one an Alien signing, and they got Paul Reiser coming in just for the one day.
Yeah.
It's only there for an hour, so
Yeah, you forget he was part of that.
yeah. So it'd be interesting to see on that. That's what I may try. I'm gonna definitely enjoy the show and check things out. But I'm a lot this year. It's nice since we're sharing a table. I want Kevin to go out and see everything I've seen I've done pro badges 3 times now.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have, we originally in 2020, Scott was going to set up, Kevin and I were going to walk around and do pro badges all week just to enjoy all this stuff because I've done panels. It's like 2 years ago, the last time I did the pro badge, I spent all day in Ballroom 20 when I was tired. I wasn't feeling good physically. I wasn't sick, but just hurting. So I sat there and I saw like the Evil panel and a bunch of other ones. I'd done the Ghost panel the year, that year or two. And those are fun because there's a lot of the TV panels that are not Hall H that you can easily get into if you plan it. Now Ballroom 20 is the second biggest one after Hall H, and it can get packed. And I went up there for one thing on I think Friday that year, and I decided to go back the next morning because I wanted to see those panels. And I was like, well, okay, from this point in the line, how long is it going to take me to get in there? And they're like, about 2.5 hours. The way it's been filling in and out. And I looked and I was like, well, the panel I want to see will be done. So
Yeah.
So I left. But there's a lot of cool panels. And I've sat in a lot of neat panels that in the smaller breakout rooms, they talk about the mechanics of making comics, the history of comics. I sat in one and they talked to some of the guys that worked on the original Jetsons. And that's when the Jetsons Blu-ray was coming out. And the original Jetsons was only a 1-season cartoon that they ran forever. They had other iterations down the road, but that's what they were talking about. And those are always fun, too. And there's a lot of really cool panels like that.
Back in the day, 1 season of cartoons, but there was 50 episodes.
Actually, I don't think it was like there was only like 30. Because it was,
really?
Yeah, it was like a Saturday morning cartoon back in 1962.
I actually got to be on the panels for a couple of times. One was a panel featuring Star Wars artists, so I got to speak in that and be up on the little platform. That was cool. And then another one for a couple years was a panel about Christian comic books, so I got to speak on those. But those were fun, and it's just different. It's such a cool stage to be on, So
it is. That's a neat thing. I've not done panel. I've been on a panel at San Diego Comic Con. I've done them in other smaller shows, but even it doesn't matter what it is. You get a chance to do a panel at San Diego Comic Con, you got to jump at it because that's just a huge honor.
Just for the photo to have the Comic Con stuff behind you, with the little microphone and little nameplate.
Yeah.
But what I always miss when I'm not there is Sideshow Collectibles. I always love their booth, and they actually have on their website, I guess, a little preview of some of the stuff that they're going to.
I hadn't looked, but I guess they are coming back this year. They were here last year.
They were here last year.
Okay, yeah,
weird.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this life-size bust of Arthur Fleck. That looks lifelike. Like, that's crazy. I mean, that looks like a photo, and the quality is just so amazing all the time. So that's what I always miss.
I always you get really good reference photos from their statues.
Yes.
Oh yeah, perfect reference.
I think like they had the Terminator here one year. I was doing all sorts of different angles just because it's so much easier. You get that photo it's nice. They're so lifelike.
Yeah, the accuracy.
Is
with
insane.
The detail is spot on.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
That's why they're worth the money. If you're something you really want, and people are getting Sideshow statues, it's worth it because you're going to have
and
one of the top quality pieces out there. So.
And they do the detail work. So, like in the Terminator, to look at that, like some of the little intricate parts that you don't catch if you just looking at the movie or regular photos on the Sideshow. You're like, oh, I didn't realize there's something there. Or, I didn't realize it would look like that. And then you go back,
So an interesting side topic, because a lot of people go to San Diego Comic-Con and all they know is the convention or Gaslight, the gas lamp district there.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you're looking forward to outside of the convention? Like you got Hash House of Go-Go. That's a must do every time we do it.
Yeah.
We tend to stay outside of that immediate bubble, so we get to experience usually the outer parts.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we stayed up in, I think it's South Park area, and we walked 2 blocks up because there was a small little market Target. So we were like, oh, let's get some groceries, stuff like that. And we go across the street. Well, there's this Italian restaurant which we didn't eat at. But there's this corner place called Fernside. It's like, oh, we'll come back and eat there. Oh my God, $20. And last year was still only like 22 bucks. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
A burger, that big.
Smash burger from hell.
And it was just fantastic. It's a half pound of burger, easy.
Yeah.
You get a pint of beer and the best waffle fries I've ever had.
Nice.
And in San Diego, for $20, you go get a full meal and be stuffed afterwards. We even got a side of Korean barbecue chicken wings, and they were only like $5-6.
And we couldn't eat everything.
And we were sitting going, "Oh God, I'm stuffed." We ate there last year, 3 times? So we like that one.
It's off the beaten path. It's not everything downtown. There's a lot of great restaurants downtown in the Gaslamp District. Don't get me wrong.
Just getting in was a nightmare.
Yeah, we were here I brought Brandy down here last month. We came down for the weekend because she's never been able to come to San Diego because she can't deal with the crowds. So we stayed out here in the Ocean Beach area, but we went downtown to watch a baseball game. So we got to go around and walk around some of these restaurants downtown that you never get to.
I love the Ocean Beach area. That's really nice.
Oh yeah. So
also great if you're able to get over the bridge there over to Coronado.
Yeah.
Beautiful over there when you can explore also, which tends to happen if you're like, oftentimes we might have a day or two extra after the show or before the show so we can explore a little. Got the San Diego Zoo out there.
Yeah, we did that. When we did the special edition in 21. It was in November. We did the zoo the day, stayed an extra day to do the zoo because we saw the giraffe being born. But the zoo is fantastic. Now we're going to have to plan for next year because we're going to plan an extra day next year to go to the zoo because the pandas will be here.
Oh, that's right. Have you guys?
Now, they're not open.
Have you gone to the Comic-Con museum yet?
No, we should do that too. It's
we have Monday open. We haven't decided what we're going to do yet. So
outside of seeing Deadpool,
we'll finally see Deadpool on Monday.
Yeah,
we might just go over to Ocean Beach, walk around, get some food, hang out there a little bit.
We're just going to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
So
well, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys will have a lot of fun. It'll be great to see. I can't wait to see the photos and the interaction you guys have at the booth. Small Press does really well out there. One of the few places you can go to sell comics and actually sell comics, which is weird.
Yeah.
Our friends over at Stranger Comics, I saw Sebastian posting their setup. They're working on that. He's not too far from the Alex Ross booth. I could see it right.
Yeah, they're usually against the wall. They're kind of just down a little bit from where Billy Tucci is. But in Small Press, we've got Steph Forney running the Scarlet Huntress booth.
Yep.
I believe she's got Jamie Snell here with them helping out, if I remember right.
Oh, cool.
Over in Artist Alley is Sean. Sean's going to be in Artist Alley along with Nate, like his last name. He does a book.
Lowett? Lowett, I think.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff, but he's got his own creator book, Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Or no, Carter Kane.
So Bardstone artist Sean Forney.
Yes. Yeah, cover artist, which we have some of the issue 2s that we have in our sets that we're going to be selling. We'll have that.
Also, Bardstone artist Sergio Cariello will be over there in Artist Alley. He's in G.
Yeah, and we have some Richard runs that you could buy and have him sign. And then I'm trying to think what else is there that we know. Name dropping, but it's
who did the one Frankenstein cover? Nate.
We got Mike Vasquez.
Mike Vasquez,
yeah. I believe he's there. He was there last year.
Usually he is. Mike.
Yeah, he was there in Artist Alley last year.
Yeah, me and Mike used to, in my early years, me and him used to room together and go out to the restaurants and bars together. He's a great guy. Let's see. I'm trying to see if he has any posts about his location.
Yeah, and some of the issue 3s I have with me are his covers. So
nice.
Yeah, we got some of that.
Yeah.
I don't see any posts on his page for it, so not 100% sure if he's there, but usually he is.
Yeah. So we'll check that out. I definitely will make a walk around Artist Alley a couple times throughout the weekend. Catch up with people. We'll catch up with the Forneys a little bit, which is awesome. This is their first time back since 2019. So, and they got a lot going on with their Scarlet Huntress, and then of course Sean's got a ton of stuff he's done with Marat. Marat's here with I believe he's got a booth. They were in the exhibitor. No, it's like it's always a small press, but it's another like press exhibitor area. But it's not it's not the same one that Terry Huddleston, which will be here, does. There's a different. They were more in the middle of the show, kind of behind like where Billy Tucci and a couple of those other publishers are at.
Yeah.
So I know Katie Cook's here because I saw she's posting. She's supposed to be here. Of course, I said she's from Michigan. That's of course she could get out. Depending on when her flight was, she probably didn't have to worry about the stuff we had.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, though. How many people either are going to miss it because they couldn't get flights, or they get there and they don't have product?
Yeah, I think because of the way we flew out, some people are flying out today because they don't care if they get here in time for preview night so much as they want to get the rest of the weekend. But we like to get in as early like that, just so we don't feel rushed. And of course, then when things happen like yesterday, it gave us the extra whole day to do it. But there's a lot of cool stuff, and it's going to be a good show. I think the only problem is that we really hope to have the trades, but we're going to do a special for the attendees. You can come to the booth. We'll have something for you to scan, and you can. I set up a page to order the books for me, so once I get them, then I'll just ship out what they want. But we have plenty of issues. We can sell the sets of the Crimson Shadows. We'll have tons of Poe books. We have the Poe trade.
So I'll give a quick update for people. So if you pre-order from Brett and Kevin, the order's done. The shipment's done. The learning curve is I gave a 3-month cushion for international shipping. Evidently, I should have done a 6-month cushion. It takes way longer than I ever expected.
I think it varies. I think it depends. It's like we talked to Dom, and he used the same company that we use.
Yeah.
And he got his sooner. I think it just really depends on what they got going on shipping wise at that time.
Well, and it's just the logistics of these boats. They're massive.
Yeah.
And they don't unload and load these boats in a day. So like for ours, originally we were supposed to get it in May, end of May. Then the ship that they booked it on, there was a delay. So then it was into June that we were going to get it. Well, then once they loaded the ship had a weight imbalance, and they had to take off some of the containers for the weight issue. And we were one of those containers. And then we got assigned to another ship. So that takes time to load. Well, then that ship, it turns out, has a layover in South Korea. So it went there. We have to wait for it to unload and reload. Then it came over here. Now in the port, it got to port in 2 weeks ago. They're still unloading the ship. So now they expect it to
all the containers off. They still have to check them in through customs.
Correct.
And that's what takes longer than unloading the ship.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's the process we've been stuck in now, which has originally they were like, okay, you're going to have it by July 20th. So we thought, well, maybe we'll have it Monday to give to you so you guys could bring with you. Well, unfortunately, because of that process, there's another delay. And they're saying this week it should be done with that process. So I'll get an update once it's done. And then they got to transport it from the port in New Jersey over to the warehouse in Romulus. So we're still 1 to 2 weeks from receiving it. But they assure me it did come in. It arrived. It just is we just have to wait it out. There's nothing we can do to rush it, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So if you pre-order it through Brett and Kevin, by the time they get back,
my thing on this with that is pre-orders. I'm anticipating to be able to have it to you by September. Only reason I'm doing that far out is I want to make sure that you realize
no more delays.
I'm not going to get home. They're not going to be there next week. I'm shipping them out. It's going to be September, but I'm doing everything to Square, so you can use a credit card. So if you feel uncomfortable, you can request a refund, and of course, you can always contact your credit card company if there's a dispute.
Perfect.
Which I hope you don't do to me. I don't want to ship something out and get disputed, but But I got everything set up on there, and we're going to do a Comic-Con special. So when you scan it, there's a code for 20% off. There's still shipping, but I'm giving a 20% discount off the price of the book.
That's a big discount. That's good.
Because of the fact that we wanted to have them, and we'll go from there. So we'll figure it all out, and if nobody buys it, that's fine too. It's only for the attendees that come there, and then
and you do have samples of the artist proof that you'll be able to show them.
The trade, and I have the hard and soft cover trades.
Perfect.
To show off what they look like.
Perfect. Yeah, they're going to be great. It's just unfortunately had they loaded on the original ship and gone out on time and didn't have that layover, we would have had them. But it's a reality of shipping via cargo ship is they have weight limits, weight distribution issues.
And the next time we do it, it could be something like, okay, yeah, we had it. It's on the ship. Boom, there it is. Here it is. I mean, it could be like.
And I'll do a 6 month cushion for delivery.
Yeah, instead of 6 months, it could be 2-3 months. I mean, you just never know. I know people do that. Like, I got my stuff in like 2 months. It just depends how it's coming, which ship. Is it a direct ship from there to here? If it's got the layover like that one happened and it came into New York, versus going to even LA or San Diego.
I wonder if there were any delays too. This is just speculation too. We had the issue with the bridge in Baltimore, and I know that shut down that port for a long time, and a lot of ships got diverted to.
I think that's part of the reason we're delayed was they were
probably a backup.
They probably had that one stay in South Korea so they could logistically figure out where they're going to move everybody around. Because they still had to clear that port just to be able to get stuff going from there.
And we're labeled as it's definitely a non-essential shipment.
Yes.
So there's class A, B, and C.
Comic books are essential.
Yeah. There's A, B, and C, and they're like, and these guys are class F.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So like most.
I have a feeling they saw our order and like, hey, aren't those the guys on Odd Musings?
Yeah. Fuck those guys.
Most manufacturing stuff's like B.
Like
product and stuff like that. A would be like your essential, like
your medical stuff.
Exactly.
They classified us as children's books. On the form. So
right, basically, yeah, exactly.
Well, to quote the boys, they're like, "See, those stupid cunts."
Yeah.
So that would be the butcher response.
Yes,
but it is the nature of the beast, though. For us to be able to continue to do what we're doing, we have to be able to purchase these in bulk at a cost that makes it a profitable. Yeah. It's we're at that point. It's either we stay where we were or we keep trying to expand, and this is the growing pains, which is fine. But
and it's also, there's a difference between a single issue that's 30-40 pages for print costs versus a full color 200-page book that's bound and everything, and it's exponentially more expensive to print the way we were printing. So we had to make adjustments. Otherwise, we'd have to charge $100 a book, and who's going to buy that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but everyone, we're at the end of the show here. Go see Brett and Kevin at the Bardstone booth at what was it? MO4?
Yeah, M04. Yep.
M04 in Small Press. We got our friends Sean Forney there and many others there. So go check them out if you're there, and pre-order the books from Brett and Kevin. Support them. They got to make an extra $800 to pay for that flight. So
and besides the books, we do have some limited amount of artwork available too.
Yeah, which means you actually have to sell like $1,600 more to make the profit to cover the $800.
Yeah.
So go out and buy from them.
Yes, definitely.
So all right, guys, I'm gonna play the outro, and we'll talk later.
All right, man. See ya.